Have you ever felt out of place at school? As if no matter how hard you tried, you never quite fit into the system? Maybe your grades weren't the best. Maybe your teachers didn't see your true potential. While some students excelled in exams and received praise, you felt like your mind worked differently. As if what truly mattered to you wasn't in the textbooks. If this resonates with you, know that it wasn't a mistake. It was a sign. Because the truly chosen ones were never the school's favorites. They didn't fit in, and for a reason far greater than they imagined. Today you will understand why the school system never favored those destined for greatness. You will discover why so many geniuses, leaders, and visionaries were never the best students, and more importantly, how this could be proof that you were born for something far greater than a report card full of high grades. If you have ever doubted your worth because of what happened in school, stay with me until the end, because this truth may change the way you see your own journey. Some people simply don't learn like others do. While traditional education forces mechanical repetition, the chosen ones absorb knowledge intuitively, almost as if they feel learning rather than just memorizing it. They don't need memorized formulas to understand the mathematics of life. But guess what? This unique way of learning often makes them seem distracted, uninterested, or even lazy, when in reality, they are just processing the world in a much deeper way than the system allows. This way of learning is not a flaw, it is a gift. Instead of swallowing information without chewing, they absorb what truly matters, connecting ideas in ways others can't even imagine. Think about those who changed the world. Einstein was not the best student. Steve Jobs dropped out of college, and Leonardo da Vinci educated himself. True learning doesn't come from following a rigid curriculum, but from questioning, exploring, and transforming knowledge into something meaningful. If you feel like you never fit into the traditional education model, it might be because your learning follows a different path. You can develop incredible skills through contemplative reading, observation, and experimentation. Want an example? Instead of just reading a self-improvement book, practice what you've learned in your daily life. If a book teaches about mindfulness, try meditating for 5 minutes when you wake up. Small actions create big changes. And speaking of changes, there's something that sets these restless minds apart even more. From an early age, the chosen ones don't accept ready-made answers. While most simply agree with what is taught, they want to know the why behind things. They ask, challenge, and investigate, not because they want to be rebellious, but because they cannot accept something without deeply reflecting on it. This may bother teachers, parents, and authorities who expect blind obedience. But this restlessness is not a flaw. It is a sign of a mind that refuses to live on autopilot. Think of Socrates, who revolutionized philosophy simply by asking questions, or Nikola Tesla, who refused to accept the scientific limitations of his time and brought innovations that shaped the modern world. Those who question grow. If you feel like you're always analyzing everything around you, congratulations. This is the path to true personal development. Instead of just accepting rules, try to understand their foundations. Instead of following an imposed script, create your own. But questioning the world doesn't just mean debating ideas, it means questioning yourself. Why do you do what you do? Why do certain habits persist? Why do some beliefs limit you? True transformation begins when you allow yourself to deconstruct your own mind. And as you dive into this search for answers, something becomes irresistible for these restless spirits: the need to explore the invisible, what lies beyond what the eyes can see. While many are satisfied with what is visible and tangible, the chosen ones feel called to something greater. From an early age, they realize that life cannot be reduced to just work, money, and status. They ask, what is the purpose of all this? What exists beyond what the eyes can see? And inevitably, they dive into spirituality. Not because of trends or external influence, but because something inside them simply knows that existence is deeper than it appears. Books on consciousness, energy, and purpose become more appealing than any school subject. While others worry only about grades, they want to understand the meaning of life. Have you ever felt that the material world is not enough? This is a clear sign that your soul is seeking something greater. Exploring teachings from Osho, Eckhart Tolle, and Deepak Chopra can open doors to a new level of understanding and personal development. But this interest can make them seem disconnected from reality. While the world revolves around the immediate and the superficial, they are absorbed in deep reflections. Sometimes they even feel out of place, as if no one around them shares this quest for something more. But here's an important detail. This thirst for the unknown prevents them from settling for the ordinary, and precisely because of this, tasks without real purpose become unbearable. If something has no real purpose, it simply does not hold the chosen one's attention. While many do their tasks just to meet obligations, they need to feel that there is a greater meaning behind every action. That's why repetitive and mechanical activities like memorizing formulas without understanding or following rules without purpose seem torturous. The problem is not a lack of ability, it's the absence of meaning. Without it, everything becomes an unbearable burden. This often reflects in academic performance, low grades, lack of interest, struggles with subjects that don't make real sense. But listen, this does not mean they are lazy or incapable. Far from it. The same student who can't focus on a purposeless equation can spend hours learning about quantum physics if they feel it expands their mind. Focus appears when the mind sees value in learning. So, if you feel that certain tasks drain you while others make you lose track of time, that's a sign. The secret is to direct that energy toward what truly matters. Instead of fighting against your nature, find ways to make even obligations more meaningful. And speaking of feeling, there is something that weighs even more on these restless minds: intense energetic sensitivity. The chosen ones don't just perceive the environment around them, they feel it. Every space carries an energy, every person vibrates at a frequency, and this directly affects their emotional and mental state. Crowded classrooms filled with tension and stress can feel suffocating. While others seem to go through their routine without noticing, they absorb everything. The pressure from teachers, the anxiety of classmates, the weight of expectations. It's not an overreaction. It's a natural sensitivity, almost like having an internal radar that's always on. This factor may explain why school felt like such an exhausting place. The excess stimuli, the pressure to perform, and the lack of moments to pause overload these individuals' minds. And it's not just in school. Any toxic environment drains their energy. Chaotic places, empty conversations, and negative people can leave them feeling depleted without being able to explain exactly why. The energy around them directly impacts their ability to learn, create, and even feel well. The good news? This sensitivity can be used to their advantage. Creating moments of silence, practicing mindfulness, and choosing better environments to spend time in can make all the difference. Techniques like meditation, energy cleansing baths, and connecting with nature help to balance this energetic overload. But there's something even deeper that the chosen ones perceive from an early age: the illusion of the system and the need to seek meaning beyond traditional metrics. From a young age, the chosen ones realize something most people only discover too late. Grades, diplomas, and job titles do not define true success. While the world is obsessed with labels and certificates, they sense that there's something beyond that. They look at the education system and see its flaws. They know that memorizing information for a test doesn't mean truly learning. And they notice how many brilliant students end up lost in life, while those who followed their own path thrive. This realization can lead to frustration. After all, while everyone else is chasing good grades, they are trying to understand what truly makes sense. This can make them seem unmotivated or even like failures within the system, when in reality they are simply rejecting the idea that success is reduced to a piece of paper. How many stories have we heard of geniuses who were overlooked because they didn't fit in at school? True learning doesn't come from following rules, but from expanding consciousness. And it's this same expanded consciousness that makes them dreamers and visionaries. Because if they don't see meaning in what is imposed on them, they naturally start imagining something different. They create, innovate, and explore new ways of thinking. And this is where one of the most striking traits of the chosen ones comes in, the ability to daydream and visualize a world beyond the obvious. While the world insists on keeping its feet on the ground, the chosen ones live with their heads in the stars. They daydream, imagine possibilities, and see beyond what is visible. The system calls this distraction, but the truth is that this ability to visualize the impossible is precisely what leads to innovation. Great visionaries like Elon Musk, Nikola Tesla, and Da Vinci were like this, always exploring dimensions beyond the material world. The problem? The traditional world doesn't know how to deal with those who see beyond. Since childhood, they have been scolded for not paying attention, when in reality their minds are exploring concepts no one around them perceives. While the classroom repeats memorized formulas, they are imagining ways to revolutionize learning itself. Many end up doubting themselves, thinking there's something wrong with them. But in reality, it is precisely this ability to dream big that separates those who merely survive from those who truly transform their lives. And if you feel this, believe me, it's not a mistake. It's a calling. The secret is not to abandon your dreams, but to channel them into something real. Start by writing down your ideas, even the craziest ones. Test small projects, explore new paths, because those who dream big sooner or later find a greater purpose. And purpose is exactly what defines those who never fit into traditional molds. The chosen ones never fit into traditional molds because they were never meant to. From an early age, they feel that something greater awaits them, something beyond following a predefined script set by society. Whether in art, spirituality, innovation, or leadership, these individuals were born to leave a mark on the world. The problem? The system doesn't teach people to find their mission. It teaches them to obey. And those who don't fit in are labeled as problematic, distracted, or without a future. But the truth is different. Those who feel out of place in the ordinary world are usually destined to create a new one. Think of great creators, revolutionary artists, and spiritual leaders. None of them followed a traditional path. They all had to trust their intuition, ignore external voices, and follow their own calling. If you feel this restlessness, this sensation that you were born for something greater, trust it. That is the first step to changing your life. And yet, the system insists on measuring intelligence and a person's worth by academic performance. But do difficulties in school really mean failure? Or are they just a sign that certain individuals were made for something far beyond what grades can measure? Society insists on measuring a person's worth by their school performance. But what if that criterion is completely wrong? Great minds like Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, and Steve Jobs didn't stand out in school, yet they revolutionized the world. The problem was never their intelligence, but rather a system that wasn't prepared to handle extraordinary minds. If you have ever felt incapable because you didn't do well on tests, know this: your true potential is far greater than any grade can define. The fact that someone doesn't fit into traditional education doesn't mean they lack ability. It simply means their learning follows a different rhythm and logic. What truly matters isn't memorizing temporary information, but developing skills that transform your life. Ask yourself, what do you do effortlessly that inspires those around you? What makes you lose track of time? Your genius may be hidden there, waiting to be developed. If you've ever felt like an outsider in the academic world, maybe it's because your path isn't limited to a diploma. Many who struggled in school found success in unexpected ways simply because they dared to follow their own purpose. And if you feel like there's something more for you, believe me, you're not alone on this journey. There's a greater purpose guiding you, and understanding this can change everything. If all of this resonated with you, then know this: you are not alone. There's a reason you never fit into the standards, a reason you've always questioned everything, a reason you felt like your mind works differently. This isn't a mistake. It's a sign that your journey is special. The world needs people like you, people who see beyond the obvious, who seek a greater purpose, who refuse to settle for a mediocre life. Your sensitivity, your questions, and your dreams are not weaknesses. They are exactly what makes you unique. The secret isn't trying to fit in, it's embracing your own path. Instead of fighting against your nature, accept it. Develop your skills, cultivate your spirituality, learn about yourself. Great minds throughout history have gone through this and found their purpose because they trusted what they felt. And now the question remains: are you ready to trust your calling? Or will you keep trying to mold yourself to a system that was never designed for you? If this message made sense to you, if it connected with something inside you, then don't ignore this sign. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and continue this journey of self-discovery and awakening. Because here, you will always find a space to expand your consciousness and transform your life. Now tell me, what part of this video resonated with you the most? Write it in the comments. I want to hear about your experience. Now that you understand why you never fit into the system, the big question is, what will you do with this information? Because just knowing isn't enough. You need to take action. Will you keep trying to follow a model that was never meant for you? Or will you start building your own path, exploring your true potential? The choice is in your hands, and the first step to changing your life is accepting that your difference is your greatest strength. Think about it. What skills do you have that the system never valued? What makes you feel alive, gives you energy, makes you forget about time? Start directing your energy toward that. Learn in a self-taught way. Connect with people who share your vision. Develop your abilities outside traditional standards. Great minds never waited for permission to shine. And neither do you. Now tell me, what part of this video impacted you the most? What part of this message resonated with your story? I want to hear your experience in the comments. And of course, if you want to keep expanding your consciousness and learning about your true potential, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This is just the beginning of your transformation.